Thank you for being patient.
I am a good neighbor.
Great. So, Robert and I were just speaking before, and perhaps, Robert, you should take it from here and explain what happened in your perspective.
If you felt threatened that day in the park, I apologize, but to insult my upbringing because it wasn't yours is insulting to me.
Well, hang on. Can you back up a little bit on that?
No.
Because I'm not sure. I'm not clear exactly what you're saying.
What I'm saying is I apologize if she felt threatened.
Okay. So let me. Wait,
but
let me
I don't.
Hold on. Let me just pause. Let me just find out if she was threatened, and then you can see what happens with the apology. So, and can I fill in a little bit of what we did? So,
sure.
Okay. So.
He sounds very mad.
Yeah, well,
that apology doesn't
Robert
sound...
may well be
I'm
mad.
telling you how I felt that.
Yeah.
You sound mad, and as if your words were daggers, they would spear me. And if that was an apology, I don't believe it, but I would like to hear how we could get to an apology, because I believe that we're never going to move forward unless we truly make amends for what went wrong in the park last week.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I chuckled a little bit because it did sound to me, it resonated with me that you sounded upset. And so I get that part. So I don't want you to apologize if you're not feeling that that's what you're feeling. So it may be my bad.
I mean, that's what I teach my kids to do. As much as this guy teases me about the way I parent my kids, I do teach them to try to really understand, you know, where the perspective, to read the person and really get to know what they're thinking and feeling. And so I can't believe, I mean, with my older one, I could sort of get it because he thought he had the right to confront him. You know, he's 7, but the 2-year-old, 2. I'm talking diapers still, so you don't have the right, nobody has the right to talk to a 2-year-old like that.
So here's what happened in our meeting. I asked Robert to sit in your chair and look at the situation from your point of view. When I played him and in this unauthorized way said, "You brat," and what is the feeling that comes up?
And we're so different. It must have been very interesting to see him try to put himself in my shoes.
So that's something that I'll ask you to talk about. What did it feel like when?
Well, as I said to you, I would have reacted the same way had it been as Carol did.
Right.
Had it been a stranger.
Okay. So let's first bookmark this piece.
Okay.
That had Robert put himself in your shoes, from your perspective, he got the feeling of defensiveness toward the child.
Yes, and complete.
Yeah.
Yes. Defensiveness meaning what I reacted to, that sort of like animal, like how dare you,
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Now there's a difference here. This is the piece that I think you'd want me to talk about, which is he felt, and I'm going to use this as my word, license to say this. And I'm curious if when I say that, you think, do I have 7 heads? Or do you know what I mean when I say that word license in this context?
I don't think you have 7 heads. I think we have a history. I think we've been neighbors for 5 years. I think my husband and I have been very fair to Robert and Ralph, and in fact we started off sort of a little bit more, I mean, I believe we had dinner parties, and you know, there was some sense of neighborly, which is great. That's what New York is about, right? And you accept everything and every kind of person, and you don't get to order when you sign a lease, right? Where it's who's going to be living. You just that's your neighbor, and I'm sure you can agree. Maybe perhaps it wasn't your dream to have a family that had kids that you know. I don't wash their hair every day. I'm not that mom, you know. I'm definitely not. I'm not saying I let them go around and say and do whatever they want. which I think is maybe Robert's perspective, but certainly in terms of him not being a stranger, I think a 2-year-old looks at you, a 2-year-old, as being a big strange man. To me, you would be scary if you were a 2-year-old. Now, my older one, Alexander, he might have been able to process maybe you snapping at him like that, saying those words. But, you know, it's even a size thing. I don't know if you remember how 2 is small. It's small, and I'm not a perfect person. I've certainly snapped at my kids before and said things, but that's because of the work I do. It's 24-hour mothering. It's hard work, you know. But not to the 2-year-olds. So I don't know. We're agreeing on whether he had the right.
Well, that's something for you and for Robert to work out. What I'm guessing brought you in here is that Robert felt that he had the ability, the right, to speak directly.
You said the license too.
The license, right. Speak directly because of the relationship, because he knew the child, because he held the baby, and so on. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But
So
our relationship has been more adversarial since the second baby was born. I mean, and that is the truth. And I have to say, it started off being like, would you mind, or could you try? Yeah. And then I feel like it's built into this big volcano.
Well, because there's never been an answer to the would you mind or the could you try.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So here's the piece, okay, that when we first walked in here, the image I got was complete unauthorized, from your perspective, speaking to a child where you go for parenting staff. But now what's unfolded a little bit here is there's some context and there's a relationship here. And here, maybe some boundaries were crossed.
Yes.
Where Robert felt he had the ability, the license to do this, you felt otherwise. And then there was some other stuff in the relationship that transpired between the two of you as adults that may have sort of interfered with, I don't know, let's say the purity of Robert's intentions in this case. Now before I just want to point something out. I noticed you're taking a deep breath here and sighing. And I'm curious if there's anything to that side.
When we first moved in, and Alexander was 3 at that time, there was no issues. That child is an angel. That child does not do what this little one does. I don't know if it is a sudden switch in parenting by committee, or what happened with this second child that suddenly it's parenting by committee and let it do whatever it wants. The Alexander is an amazing little kid. He's respectful, more so than the parent.
So where's the breath coming from? When I asked you about that.
The breath is that I believe that there's something else. This is about something else.
Okay.
And I am not going to be the one to bring it up.
Okay.
Because it doesn't affect me. I want quiet.
Okay.
I want peace. Okay. I want this child to be disciplined.
Okay.
I don't want to be interrupted at all hours of the day and night, and then oh, well, you know, it's just a baby.
All right.
Well, I know from babies. I know from children.
Okay.
And they're not all like that. This is a little monster that she will not discipline.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I had about a minute of like a spiritual break where I felt a little step. And by you calling my child an it and a monster, by the way, the second baby is 2. So if in case you don't remember that far back, or in your family, 2-year-olds were never 2-year-olds. I don't know how you were raised, but I certainly, I don't feel really mad about that. I feel really sad and sick in my heart about that you would call my child a monster. And actually, he has a name. It's Andreas, okay? The 2-year-old has a name, Andreas. And how dare you call one an angel and one a monster? How dare you? I don't call you and your partner monsters. And certainly I wouldn't do it in this room to your face.
So,
but you would do it behind my back.
Hang on a minute. Hold on.
No, because this is where the underlying thing is.
Yeah.
Rob has got nothing to do with it. He doesn't want anything. It doesn't want anything to do with you. He doesn't want to be bothered.
I'm sorry that you have picked a partner that has no love and understanding in his heart for his neighbors.
Where's Carl?
He's busy working.
Oh.
And, Carl is totally on my side with this. All right, he totally
Really?
agrees with me. Yes, but he's not gonna get. He has got things to do, and I told him when you cross this line, he said, go to court, and then let me know, and I'll pay for it. And I said, great, because at this point, I prayed about it. I've talked to my friends. I've tried to leave you notes saying how
notes with a Bible verse on at the bottom of every note.
It's a piece of literature. If you're a New York City man, you will be open to reading literature as you would anything else. I don't think it's funny.
I don't believe that you're actually calling the Bible literature.
I am, because I'm trying to understand from your point of view how you may view things like the Bible. I mean, I've done a lot of research on this, and
Carol, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. Let's just break in here. I've noticed in the past minute or so or two a real escalation in what's been going on. And for a while we had what I felt was like a tether of dialogue, and then there was a break and a big thing, and I wanted to just sit back and see what would happen. And I'm curious if this is helpful to you, and if it is, you can certainly continue by all means. And if it isn't, then I could offer you maybe an alternative, but I'm curious as to what happened.
No, I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's helpful because
I don't know if it's helpful or not, but I have to say, if I am being picked on in our building for being the kind of person that has a family with children that live their lives, then I feel it's fair to address and pick on or give back information on how I feel this lifestyle and this family
What do you mean by this? Can you describe what this is?
Well, I'm assuming it's well, you and your partner are partners. This is a gay couple that lives in New York. It's not very hard to say. And this is a gay couple that lives in New York. And I just feel like I am being looked down upon because of my spiritual values and my moral values. And when I share something to you from a piece of literature, a work of art that I believe is truly God asking you just to be more open to my family and my family choices. You think that perhaps I'm damning you to hell, and it's not the case. I didn't realize that us having children, that would put such a big rift between us just as neighbors. And
So, wait, before you respond, I just want to ask you how do you respond to Carol's sort of description of you and Ralph as a gay couple, and that she's being picked on for having a spiritual life? Is that right, or a religious life? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's hard for me to feel like I'm just. Yes, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
So those two things. How do you respond to those two things?
I respond to the fact that I've never picked on her for her lifestyle.
Okay.
I have asked her to keep her kids under control. If that is being picked on, it's a new definition for picked on, in my opinion.
Well, there is what you may be asking, and then there's a delivery of how you're asking it.
That's a very good point. Can I just bring that up right there? Because I actually feel like I am a grown woman, and I've spent plenty of time, even with my own brothers and sisters, picking on them. But when you're feeling harassed, and you're feeling denigrated, and you're feeling sort of threatened, and also
harassed like I will pray for you every day. I'll pray for you. I'm praying for you. Here's another Bible verse. Here's another Bible verse. Hope you don't go to hell. I mean, that's what I hear every time you say I'm praying for you, instead of okay, I'll try to keep the kids under control.